Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there? Oh, good day, beautiful people. Today is Thursday, March 15th, 2018. I'm Papa Bear, and this is what's out there. The glass is half full today. Things are really starting to look better. Although we still have our team of idiots out there. I say our team of idiots. It's the high school kids. The high school kids that decide they're going to go out and do their little walkout. The thing is, it's a coordinated thing. They've got their teachers leading them the way. And it's not anything to do with this memorial to the people the children, the kids who died at the Parkland shooting. It has nothing to do with that. It's all gun control. It's all a false premise. You've got kids out there who are actually, they have brain cells, they're sparking. They know what's going on. And they're saying, yes, we have the right to protect our students, to protect the kids. Absolutely. But these people are getting thrown out of the rally and even being threatened to be arrested, taken away by the police. And it's like, what is this? Is this an organized protest? Is this a field trip? What is it actually? I know exactly what it is. It's the liberals out there pushing the media, and they're using the kids as pawns. It's the same thing that Hitler did, the Hitler Youth, okay? Oh, you got to look out for the kids. These kids, they're, you hear about, okay, well, let's raise the gun buying age from 18 to 21. Well, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. The Constitution says a lot of things. People, you really need to open up this Constitution and read it. This is the law of the land. The law of the land. Not this stuff that they're peddling, codes and ordinances and stuff like that. That's not the law of the land. The law of the land is the Constitution. And the Constitution protects your God-given rights. It does not give you rights. The government doesn't give you rights. They're inherent. You're born with them. They cannot be taken away. They can only be surrendered, and they can't even be surrendered because you still have them at that point. You just don't know it. They're inherent. You're born with them. They're unalienable. They cannot be taken away. So all this stuff with, where they're violating your rights, this, that, and the other, it's all violation of rights under color of law. How about that? We can put it that way. I saw the glasses being half full. I still see it as being half full because I see a lot of the deep state actors are going down. And it used to be that people who didn't think quite right, like me, when we start talking deep state, oh, Pops, you're in left field now. You're you're talking crazy stuff. You're talking crazy stuff now. But no, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. As a matter of fact, now you're hearing it in mainstream media. The mainstream is telling you deep state, deep state. I'm hearing it in the press. How did this happen all of a sudden? You know? And now you talk about, oh, we're going to do a weapons ban. You know, it's not going to happen. Shaquille O'Neal said it pretty good. He says there's a lot of weapons out there already on the streets. So it's not like if you say, okay, these weapons are banned, people are going to go ahead and say, oh man, let me turn them in. That, believe me, that is not going to happen. It's not. Anybody with an ounce of brains knows this. Okay. There was, in Minnesota, one of these students was carrying a Trump flag at their so-called gun control rally. And you know how well they like Trump supporters, right? Well, he got attacked. He was assaulted. And this is... There you have it. There's a message. People, there's a coup going on. There is a coup going on in this country, and we need to pay attention. We need to open our eyes and see what's going on, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of lies out there. What you think might be a good cause, like open society, is not that at all. It's not that at all. And then you've got and don't misunderstand me, I'm not going to start ripping people apart because of their beliefs. I'm just trying to explain how their beliefs affect you, okay? And how your beliefs affect you in some cases. Like anarchy. Someone says, yeah, I'm an anarchist. I don't believe there should be borders. Well, you're a fool. And I'll tell you why you're a fool. Because there's always out there somebody who is going to want to take that power. They're going to want what you have, and they're going to try to take it. Where is your security? Where is it? If you just handed it in, it's gone. Okay? But you don't have any unless you hire it. And now you come back down to that same slave system that you wanted to get out of. That's not anarchy anymore. You don't have your paid security team. They're not gonna be that way anymore. It's like, well, you've got anarchy. Why should I work for you? Why would I work for you? And if capitalism is out of it, then you wouldn't have to deal with money. How are you going to piece this guy off? Who's to say that this guy, really, I mean, he's got the means. He can come in and take over what you've got, unless you have some sort of defense, okay? It's a fool's game, all right? It's a fool's game. You start talking about imaginary borders, this, that, and the other, and it's wonderful. These countries run on their budgets, okay? They have their budgets, and that's the whole deal. It all comes down to the capitalist end of it. Where's the money coming from? It's all about the money. And then when you say, oh, well, yeah, well, if we didn't have to worry about that. If. You know, you can throw ifs in a basket all day long. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. You have to deal with reality. What is, okay? And here's the reality. You start banning guns, you're not going to get the guns off the street. It's only going to make it worse. It's proven. It's fact. Look at Chicago. Toughest gun laws in the nation. Yeah, we get rid of the guns, right? No, sir. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. As a matter of fact, in Chicago's case, and even with Los Angeles, the same thing, what'll happen is you'll get agents out there, they'll drop guns, they'll drop arms, they'll just drop them out by the railroad station. Next thing you know, you've got a big old crate of guns sitting out there with nobody tending to them. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? This is fact. This stuff happens, okay? Who's dropping the guns? Who's dropping them? Is it because they have some place they have to get rid of them? Or is it to fuel what is still going on there, what's been going on there for decades? You don't know. I mean, there's so much nefarious stuff out there. There's so much evil, and this battle we got going on right now is a battle between good and evil, and that's why I see the glass as being half full. Because I read about this in the book, and we know who wins. Good causes. The good causes we were talking about before, you might think is a good cause, but probably isn't. The American Cross is one of them. Okay, the Red Cross, the American Red Cross, their CEO gets $652,000 a year, plus expenses. Okay, do you think your donations are going to, wherever you believe they're going to go to, with the $650,000 salary being paid out? The March of Dimes. It's called the March of Dimes because only a dime for every dollar is given to the needy. Okay? The United Way, President Brian Gallagher receives $375,000 base salary along with numerous expense benefits. Okay? UNICEF, their CEO gets $1.2 million a year. Okay? That's $1,000 a month plus. Plus they get the expenses, including a Rolls Royce, and less than 5 cents of your donated dollar goes to that cause, goes to UNICEF. Goodwill. The Goodwill CEO and owner, Mark Curran, profits $2.3 million a year. Goodwill is a pretty catchy name for his business, You donate to that business and he sells the items for a profit. He pays nothing for anything that comes in. He pays his workers minimum wage. Real nice guy, right? Zero goes to help anyone. Zero. Okay? They get this stuff for free. They sell it. It's all profit. Nothing goes out to the needy. Nothing. Salvation Army. And there's another one. Okay? Only $13,000 a year plus housing. Managing this $2 billion organization. Okay? It's unreal. Oh, goodness. So, Democrats want to raise your taxes. It looks like there was a red wave in Texas. Yeah, things are moving right along. The student walkout. Some schools, Allentown, Pennsylvania, they issued detentions to over 200 students after the walkout. I like it. Okay, if you're planning this trip, this field trip, okay, where your teachers are going to go with you, and it's coordinated by someone, right? You're going on this field trip, and it's not a protest. It's a defiant move is what it is. Honestly, if you have children and they're in school, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on that school. Take them out. Homeschool them. And I realize it's easier said than done because of the income situation. And that's something else. This was a creation. A creation by the boys in the banks, okay? The Rockefellers. It's like, well, we have to get women... The women's equal rights movement, the equality movement, okay? What did that do? It did two things. One, it gave the banks or the IRS another class of people to tax. Now they can start taxing the women. Wow, we're going to get more money now. More money. That's what it's all about, right? Tax the women. It also takes both parents out of the home so that they can't care for their children. School is where they have to go. Or daycare, or some other place where they're going to learn their nasty habits. Okay? Negotiate your taxes with the town. Negotiate them. Just say, look, there's a lot of stuff here that's garbage I don't need. I don't use it. And I'll either pay on an as-needed basis, or I'll, think about it yourself, as needed, or you can contract with them and give them the offer to contract, and if they don't take the offer, then you have no obligation. Give them the options. Give them the options and a result with no response. That's how they like to get you. If you don't respond, that we assume or we presume that you agree, and these changes will go into effect. It gives them incentive, right? They do the same thing with your credit cards, right? If you don't contact us, these are the changes that will be made. If you agree with these, you need not reply. If you do not agree, you must reply within a certain amount of time, okay? No different. Don't be any different with them than they are with you. Equal playing field, right? Everybody wants to be on equal ground. You've got to use the same tactics that they use with you. Put the ultimatums right there, give them the options, and give them a time limit. 15 days, 30 days. 15 days is a good minimum. Anything past 15 days, 15 days or longer is good, but just give them a response time. It'll give them time to think about it. And if you think they might have forgotten, you can also give them a courtesy note. Just as a reminder, say, I realize your office is busy and you probably haven't gotten to this yet, but there is a time, there's a timer on this, and your timer is running out. And when that timer runs out, well, you're out of time. pretty basic. That's pretty basic. Let's see. Oh goodness, I haven't been very good at preparing myself for this stuff. So let me see what I can pull through here. FBI, FISA memo. Video has been removed. It's not working that way anymore, is it? Okay. Teen radicalized by Islam goes on fatal stabbing spree. The news broke on March 13th that a Florida teen had been arrested after stabbing to death his friend and attempting to kill his friend's mother and another pair at a sleepover. The suspect confessed afterwards that he had recently converted to Islam and his beliefs motivated him to murder. While the horrific act of violence was covered by local news in Jupiter, Florida, and nationally March 14th by Fox News, the three big news networks have ignored the story so far. Of course, it doesn't fit the agenda, right? But Florida's paper, the Palm Beach Post, reported on March 13th that a Jupiter teen said his Muslim faith led him to fatally stab a boy on his 13th birthday and injure two others at a sleepover Sunday night. 17-year-old Corey Johnson was a guest at his friend Kyle Bancroft's home that night. He woke up at 4 a.m. to kill Kyle's mother, Elaine Simon, Kyle's brother, Dane, 13, and Dane's friend, Giovanni Sierra, who had just turned 13 while they slept, he told the police, according to the report. After stabbing Giovanni Sierra dozens of times, Elaine Simon awoke to hear her teen moaning in pain. Upon entering the room, Johnson lunged at her and stabbed her about a dozen times before her son Dane attempted to protect her and was also stabbed over 24 times. Thankfully, they were able to escape and called 911 from a neighbor's house. Giovanni Sierra was deceased upon the police arrival. The reason for the attack? Johnson told police that two of the boys had made comments that offended his Islamic beliefs. His friend's brother, Dane, had made fun of his faith and how he prayed while Sierra allegedly called celebrities gods, which upset Johnson because it was against his faith to idolize others as a god. He told the police after he was arrested. The police report noted that this was a premeditated attack. Johnson and his friend Kyle had watched violent jihadist videos that encouraged death to non-believers, while Johnson also admitted to reading the Quran before going to the sleepover. He told police that the Quran inspired him and gave him courage to carry out his intentions. Okay, just like the Parkland shooter, Johnson had been investigated by the FBI, local police department, and the school district the year before because of his violent tendencies, but nothing came out of that. You know how it goes, right? Well, so far, nothing from ABC, NBC, CBS. Nothing. Unbelievable. No, it's not unbelievable. It's actually par for the course. But on another note, the Supreme Court said that that GPS trackers are a form of search and seizure. This comes from The Atlantic. The government puts a GPS tracker on you, your car, or any of your personal effects. It counts as a search and is therefore protected by the Fourth Amendment. The Supreme Court clarified and affirmed that law on Monday when it ruled on Tory Dale Grady versus North Carolina before sending the case back to the state's high court. The court's short but unanimous opinion helps make sense of how the Fourth Amendment, which protects against unreasonable searches and seizure, interacts with the expanding technological powers of the U.S. government. So it doesn't matter what the context is, it doesn't matter whether it's a car or a person. Putting that tracking device on a car or a person is a search, said Jennifer Lynch, a senior staff attorney at the Electronic Frontier Foundation. In this case, the context was punishment. Grady was twice convicted as a sex offender. In 2013, North Carolina ordered that, as a recidivist, he had to wear a GPS monitor at all times so that his location could be monitored. He challenged the court, saying the tracking device qualified as an unreasonable search. North Carolina's highest court at first ruled the tracker was no search at all. And it's that decision that the Supreme Court took aim at, quoting the state's rationale and snarking. The only theory we discern is that the state's system of non-consensual satellite-based monitoring does not entail a search within the meaning of the Fourth Amendment. That theory is inconsistent with this court's precedents. Then it lists a series of court precedents. Okay. Anyway, much remains unclear about how the Fourth Amendment interacts with digital technology. The court so far has only ruled on cases where location and information was collected by a GPS tracker. But countless devices today collect graphical information or geographical information. Smartphones often have their own GPS monitors. They can triangulate their location from nearby cell towers. Electronic toll collection systems like E-ZPass register by default a car's location when it passed through a toll road. Lynch, the EFF attorney, said that the justices seem to know that they'll soon have to rule on whether this kind of geolocational information is protected. She also said that those questions are more fraught on the court than ones just involving GPS tracker data. Some members of the court, including Justice Antonin Scalia, argue the Fourth Amendment turns on whether the government has trespassed on someone's private property. Other members, represented in arguments by Justices Sotomayor and Samuel Alito, say that people have a reasonable expectation to privacy of their location data. Location data. Okay. So for now, Monday's ruling will force lower courts to consider whether attaching a GPS tracker to someone or something is a reasonable search. It makes it very clear to state courts and lower courts, considering that this issue, that at least they have to get to that point. North Carolina isn't alone in requiring past sex offenders to wear a GPS tracking device. Wisconsin also forces convicted sex offenders to wear location monitors for the rest of their lives. And Lynch said the EFF is looking at similar cases in other states. In her opinion, lifelong GPS tracking does constitute an unreasonable search. Her thinking, by the time they're monitored, convicts have served their time and have theoretically repaid society for their crimes. They should have the opportunity to rebuild their lives and not be under state or government surveillance for the rest of their lives, and that's what the GPS tracker constitutes. Sex offenders is the easiest class of people to place thousands of punishments on. But I worry that we start with sex offenders and it will go down the line of people who have committed misdemeanors. So there you have it. You know, you one thing leads to another, right? That's pretty much the deal. Ryan Bundy is running for governor of Nevada. I'm trying to get a hold of Ryan. I'd like to bring him on the show and have a few words with him, kind of get the lowdown on what's going on. But sometimes in the process of covering so many things in the attempt to provide as much information and commentary as possible, we simply are not able to provide all that we wish to do so to the public. However, that does not mean other stories and commentaries are not important. In fact, many things coming out of alternative media today are vitally important for those coming off the government-controlled media, which is why I am here. One of those items that didn't hit mainstream media, and sadly didn't hit much of the alternative media, was the opening statement of Cliven Bundy's son Ryan as the trial of the century began nearly 2 weeks ago. In light of that, I've been meaning to post this opening statement. Anyway, the opening statement. Thanks to the jurors for being here. I told you a little about myself at voir dire, but I'd like to introduce myself and a little more and tell you about my heritage and how that affects my case. This is my ID, not my driver's license. This is not who I am, a man with a family, and I'll do whatever it takes to provide for them. I want you to picture in your minds, you're out on the land, I'll take you to your ranch, you can see all the beauty of the land, the fresh air, sunsets, sunrises, the brush. You're on a horse in front of the cattle. Place yourselves there. Feel the freedom out of the congestion of the cars. And that's how he was raised, playing in the river. We were called river rats, and that's where my life began and hope ends. The family has been on that land for 141 years. The pioneer ancestors settled here in 1877. There was nothing there. They carved out a living. They brought a horse and wagon and some provisions. This case, the government mentioned, is not about rights, but it is. Those rights do mean something. Rights are created through beneficial use. When my ancestors arrived, undoubtedly the horse would need a drink. So they led him to water, and that's beneficial use. The horse and perhaps a cow that had been led behind the wagon needed to eat some brush in the hills. That's beneficial use. The established rights. The water rights are real. So real, the state of Nevada has water rights registry, including livestock watering rights. A law was created to protect those rights. The water rights that his father owns were first registered in 1891 by the state of Nevada. The state of Nevada is important. A sovereign state, its own unit, which entered the Union in 1864. It entered equal to the original states in its own entity, and state laws are important. So that's part of his speech right there. It's going to take me forever to read this thing because it was a long speech. The thing is, he says, I love my family, I love them, I love this land, I love freedom. I am from the state of Nevada, I'm a true Nevadan. Okay, if you know what happened with the government, with the Bundys, it all started at their ranch because of grazing rights, and they locked down the cattle. It was going to be a slaughter. It was going to be another Waco. Crazy. Crazy, 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 crazy. But he's running for governor of Nevada, and if you live in Nevada, even if you don't live in Nevada, help him out with his campaign. If you do live in Nevada, vote for him. It's just my opinion. Look into it. Look into it deeper yourself. I have one here from Zero Hedge, but before I get to the one from Zero Hedge, we're going to go ahead and take this, get this first break out of the way. And yeah, I hope I'm going to get the first break out of the way. Anyway, you're listening to Show Us, Don't Tell Us. Don't go away. We'll be back.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on latenightinthemidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
The L&M Radio Network offers a chat room for you, the listener, to connect with others whom are interested in the topics and guests that the L&M Radio Network brings to you. During the live shows, the hosts will even visit the chat room and chat with you, the listener. Click on the big red Chat and Listen button at the top of the website and join us. No subscription is needed at either lnmradionetwork.com or latenightinthemidlands.com.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
There is a better radio show, beyond that which is known to the people. It is a radio show more informative than others, and as timeless as infinity. It is the equilibrium between light and dark, between the sheeple and the paranormal, and it is heard at the base of man's ignorance and at the summit of his knowledge. This is the radio show of imagination, a show we call The Secret Teachings.
bensound.com. Music by Bensound at bensound.com. Of course, we're broadcasting at latenightinthemidlands.com or lnmradionetwork.com. We're on the Paranormal Radio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio. You can catch us there. Also, 101.7 WCET, Columbia Talk. And I did break down, and you'll find us on username What's Out There in YouTube. I broke down. What can I say? I don't know. Anyway, before I went to break, I was about ready to break on this Brennan. This is from Zero Hedge, okay? CIA head Brennan, the head of the CIA under Obama. In 1976, he voted for the communist candidate for president. How about that? We all have youthful indiscretions, but that a former head of the CIA once voted for Gus Hall is pretty crazy. Jimmy Carter wasn't liberal enough, I guess. And now, basically, what he's saying is, this is what he's saying. In the most vocal opposition to President Donald Trump yet. Former CIA Director John Brennan said that if the White House tries to fire Special Counsel Robert Mueller, government officials should refuse to follow the president's orders, as they would be, in his view, inconsistent with the duties of the executive branch. He said, "I think it's the obligation of some executive branch officials to refuse to carry that out. I would just hope that this is not going to be a partisan issue, that Republicans, Democrats are going to see that the future of this government is at stake, and something needs to be done for the good of the future," Brennan told CNN's Wolf Blitzer at the Aspern Security Forum, effectively calling for a coup against the president should Trump give the order to fire Mueller. This is insanity. The man is calling for a coup. But then again, there's already one going on, so this guy, he is one of the snakes. This guy right here. Okay, Brennan. He is one of them. Something, I'm not sure if I touched on this before, but California will no longer suspend driver's licenses for traffic fines. This is a good thing. They're following what Virginia has already done. Okay. Jerry Brown, I did talk about this yesterday because it was actually something he did good, right? So yeah, and often the primary consequences of driver's license suspension is the inability to legally drive to work or take one's children to school. So you want to keep that in mind. Okay. Pennsylvania. This is the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. They want to replace Pennsylvania voting machines now. Winfred Codrington is the Bernard and Ann Spitzer. Anyway, to follow at the Brennan Center for Justice, Miriam Schneider is the president of the Verified Voting and a former Pennsylvania Deputy Secretary of State for Elections and Administration. Anyway, the Pennsylvania's acting Secretary of State, Robert Torres, last month directed that going forward, all voting machines purchased in the state must employ a voter-verifiable paper ballot or paper record of votes cast. That was great news. It'll help ensure the accuracy of vote counting in Pennsylvania and give voters more confidence in the election results. It's long overdue. The two key words in the directive are verifiable and paper, neither of which apply to the vast majority of Pennsylvanians have been voting since 2006. Currently, 83% of Pennsylvania voters use direct recording electronic systems, or DREs, the voting machines that produce no paper ballot for voters to verify before leaving their polling places. And that, of course, leaves no paper trail to follow if the election results are contested. DREs are computer systems. You ever had your computer crash? You ever hear of computer systems being hacked? Yeah. Well, anyway, the Secretary's directive comes on the heels of warning from leaders of the U.S. intelligence community that Russia already is trying to influence our elections, as it did in 2016. And it's also likely that Russia will again probe our voting systems, yada, yada, yada. You know, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into that one, because there was a part of the Megyn Kelly interview that didn't, when she interviewed Putin, it didn't get put out, okay? When they start talking about election interference, no one from the Kremlin tried to interfere with our elections, okay? There was not a plan to bring unrest to the political parties to make it so that Trump won. No, actually, the unrest in the parties is created right here. It's done by the party. It's done by the Democrat Party, okay? That's where it's happening. And you keep squealing this Russia stuff. The lies that have been coming out of media, the lies are what got us into Iraq, okay? And it turned that country into what it is now. These are what the lies have done. People, you need to rub your brain cells together. Start thinking about stuff, okay? They are not... Oh my goodness. Believe me, there's an agenda here. They're butthurt. They don't care about you. They don't care about the country. All they care about is themselves. That's all they care about. Even Trump said it. They have an agenda, and it doesn't include you. It does not include you. You know how you've been treated pretty much all your life, financially, and by the legal system, and this, that, and the other. Come on, people. Come on. You know, this was bound to end. It needed to end. It needs to end now. And then you've got MS-13 that's coming over the border. Okay, oh, let those migrants in. Let them in. MS-13 taking over the school. One teen warned about him before she was killed. Unbelievable. They attacked 3 16-year-old students they suspected of being rivals before driving off. When police spotted the van in the same neighborhood in the following afternoon, and surrounded it at gunpoint, the MS-13 members were in the midst of trying to abduct a fourth. So we're going to take him somewhere private and beat him to death, said Miguel Rivera, 20, according to a Suffolk County indictment. The December 6th arrest of Rivera and 4 others thwarted what police say would have been the 6th murder of a Brentwood High School student by MS-13 in less than 2 years. You see why we're trying to keep these people from coming over the border? Just open it up, you know, what's this invisible line stuff, you know? Cut it out, people, cut it out. They want to kill you and your children. Can you see this? It's a gang. Gangs, high school gangs and street gangs are no different than your government, except the people are older. It's the same mentality. It's a gang mentality. And it's your government. So what do you got to do? What do you have to do? The only people with rights, the only people that actually have rights, are ones that put their foot down and say, look, no, I'm not going to put up with this. I have rights. I have rights that were given to me by God. You can't take them away. You can't do it. I'm not going to give them to you. I'm not going to give them away. I'm not going to let you take them away. You better find another excuse, because that one don't wash today. You don't like it. You don't like it. And it's all about the law. And it happens every time when you see those lights flashing. Oh, you get scared. They're committing a felony and you're scared, right? Because I know when they flip those lights on, they don't want you because there's an emergency going on. Oh, no. But they're going to use emergency procedure, right? Yeah. You know what? They've been to my house and they visited me. We spent an hour and a half together, okay? Papa Bear, is that just an alias? Am I afraid to use my real name? My real name is Barry, and there are quite a few Barrys that I hang around with, and it's very confusing when we talk to each other, okay? So rather than call me Barry, people know me as Papa Bear because I've gone by that name for years and years. They just call me Papa. It avoids confusion. So if you want to know if I'm avoiding something, no. My first name is Barry. My last name is Bixby, okay? Make sure you got it right. There's a whole big city named after me in Oklahoma. Okay? There you have it. Call me Papa Bear, because everybody else does. I feel comfortable with it, and I know you're talking to me. Anyway, Democrats, here's their strategy for winning in 2020. Ready? This week, congressional Democrats released a detailed tax hike plan that they promised to implement if given the majority of control of the House and the Senate after the 2018 midterm elections. Oh, 2018. Ooh, a couple years early. So much for the crocodile tears about the deficit. Democrats want to raise taxes not to reduce the debt, but they want to spend that tax hike money on boondoggle projects. You know, like the mating habits of fleas or something like that. I don't know. As you might expect, hold on to your wallets. Here's the details. They want to increase the top marginal income rate from 37% to 39.6, almost 3 points. Okay, to the top, in the top personal rate is not just a hike in the top bracket levy, but it's also a direct increase on small and mid-sized businesses. The 30 million companies, you know, that are LLCs and subchapter S corporations and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, those are the ones that are going to hit. The Democrats want everything you have. They're socialists. Socialism leads to communism, okay? Democracy is a failure. It has been a failure always in the past. It has never lasted more than 200 years. And if you think this country has been a democracy for 200 years, please get the brain sparking again. We've only been a democracy since the Banking Bill, the Federal Reserve Act of 1933. Okay? We're coming up on 100 years. And it already is turning into socialism, which leads to communism. Socialism, communism is the same thing. Okay? You don't want to be ruled? Too bad. You're walking right into it. Oh, and you people are saying you don't want to be ruled? You're following the clowns. They're out there saying, hey, look, we're gonna do a march and we're gonna protest this stuff, and you're gonna say, yeah, let's do it. Not even knowing what you're doing. You're a follower. You're not sparking your brain. You're following. You're being with the crowd. Believe me, being with the crowd is nothing special. Okay, that's not the place to be. The crowd is what turned me into what I am today, and I can tell you what I'm not, if that helps you. I'm not a rich man. I don't live in a big home, and to be honest with you, I saw this coming. I didn't even have a family. Okay? That's the way it goes. No family. And that's, hey, it's a tough one. I guess I missed out, huh? American Medical Association is doing it again. The medical boards, they're threatening the careers of doctors that question big pharma propaganda. Okay? Remember, if you ask questions, you're a conspiracy theorist. Okay? Our parents teach us to ask questions so we know. We start asking questions. Oh, now you're wearing a label. You're not asking questions, it's a label. Our parents teach us to do good things. They teach us the right things. And then you've got the government teaching us that we're bad when we do the right things. Okay. American Medical Association, also known as the AMA, they recently proposed new, ready for this? Ethical and professional guidelines for physicians. Yeah, ethical and professional, okay? We'll put those in quotes. Anyway, these guidelines will put a stop to doctors who speak out or otherwise rail against convention. The AMA is clearly an agency that has been bought by Big Pharma and is now seeking to dole out punishments to doctors who don't conform to their narrative. Well, how many holistic doctors have been killed so far? What was it, 92 according to Dr. Coldwell, right? Okay. This new proposal seeks to target physicians like Dr. Oz, okay? And, of course, it outlines how physicians ought to conduct themselves when in front of media. In other words, these new guidelines seek to remove the freedom of speech from physicians in places where other people can hear them. Because doctors like Dr. Oz have the power to influence millions of people. It's easy to see why the AMA would be after such, why they want such stringent rules, right? The group of residents, medical students, and fellows who drafted the proposal contends that medical professionals like Dr. Oz, quote, cannot function under the same guidelines as a physician counseling individual patients, end quote. Okay, so it's what, he's not a real doctor? Or are we talking about like Bill Nye, not a real scientist? Okay. So the AMA doesn't like what Dr. Oz has to say. Or rather than not listen to him, they want to legislate him, okay? And other people like him. They want to put laws on him to silence him or have them face disciplinary action for, quote, violating medical ethics in the media, unquote. Really? Medical ethics? Speaking of ethics, do they know what ethics are? I mean, if you just following their rules is violating medical ethics. That's what that's about. But, you know how it goes. It's important to note that the AMA represents about 17% of all practicing doctors, and that's why the number is continuing to dwindle. Okay, but yet they're hell-bent on controlling all of them, 100%. Why? Because they need to keep doctors in line, or Big Pharma's not going to be happy. You got to get stuff in here like marijuana, just doing the things that Big Pharma's supposed to do, and it's working good. It's working the way it's supposed to, but yeah. And then of course these hypocrites. Got to love these hypocrites in the what do you call it? The gooberment, where they mint goobers. Yeah. Everybody says, oh, Trump is handling Kim Jong-un wrong down there in North Korea, right? What, we've been handling him right for how many decades? Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing? No. The decision to meet with Kim Jong-un in the coming weeks is one that President Trump made himself. Secretary of State Tillerson said Friday, attributing the move to a dramatic change in posture by North Korean leader. Also, if you notice, they've stopped their training. Last November, they stopped doing the military drills, but they do acknowledge that we have some drills, some training that's going on out there. So it's no big deal. It's not going to interfere with them. But they're not setting anything up anymore. President Trump said for some time that he was open to talks and he'd willingly meet with Kim when conditions were right. And I think the president's judgment, and in his judgment, that time is now. I mean, here's a tweet that Donald Trump put out. Kim Jong-un talked about denuclearization with South Korean representatives, not just a freeze. Also, no missile testing by North Korea during this period of time. Great progress being made, but sanctions will remain until an agreement is reached. Meeting being planned. Okay? So this is going to happen. He's going to meet with Kim Jong-un, the one, the rocket man, right? Yeah. And of course, they still want to continue their goal of denuclearization. The thing is that Trump has made it very clear. We encourage denuclearization, but we're not going to be the leader. Okay? Being the lead, taking the lead in that makes you weaker. You have to have the backup because, remember, there's somebody else out there, okay? For some reason, these countries just can't be happy having their own little territory and doing their own little thing. It has to be world control. And that starts at the United Nations. But with the UN, it seems as though there's some shady people making decisions there too. Okay? So it doesn't matter where you go, you're always going to have your gang leaders. Your gang leaders and gangs. The only difference is, these gang leaders, they don't walk around with their guns. They send their boys out. Okay? The boys got the guns and they're out there. They don't have to do it themselves. And it all comes down to, hey, how much money have you got? How much power do you have? It's about the money and the power. That's where it comes. That's what it all comes down to, money and power. Oh, goodness. And there's always going to be someone that's going to try to overthrow the free nation or the free world, which is what's happening now, and it happened. We lost the Civil War. Everybody thought it was about slavery, but no, it was about the banking, and the bankers won. Okay? And that's what started the corporation, and the Vatican, D.C., District of Columbia, Virginia, Maryland line, right? Virgin Mary, Virginia, Maryland. It's not a state, okay? It is the United States. It's like the European Union. European Union and United States are comparable in stature. They're the same thing, okay? France or Portugal or Spain, they're states. Those are states. Like California, Connecticut, Maine, Florida, Indiana, okay, there are states, okay? You say, well, no, Pops, those are countries. Ah, you call them countries. They call them states. They're states of the European Union, states of the Union, like we are states of the Union. We are United States. Israel is a state. France is a state. Germany is a state. Okay? Starting to see the picture? People, you have to understand that the state you live in is its own country. And when you start talking about passports going from state to state in this country, ask them if they do it in the European Union. Do I have to have a passport to go from the UK to France? Or a passport to go from France to Germany? Or from Portugal to Germany? Or, you know what I mean? It's the same thing. That's your comparable. That's your comparison. Okay? The United States is a corporation. It is Washington, D.C., and its territories are the outlying islands. Okay? So, that's pretty much that. The United States, small letters, because they are united, being pulled together, states being what a state is, okay? It's small letters, it's not a capital. Anything that begins with a capital letter is a proper name, right? Okay, this is not a proper name. It doesn't it doesn't begin with capital letters. United States. The only capital in the United States of America is the A in America. That's it, because America is the proper name. This is where you get 4 different entities coming from what they call the United States. Okay, you've got United States, you've got United States of America, you have the all capital letters, United States of America, or the only capital A, United States of America. It's crazy. But this is how it creates confusion. Okay? See, when they think about it this way, if letters are capitalized, if they're capitalized, they're turned into capital, which is money. Got it? So when they turn all the letters of your name into capital letters, your letter is capitalized. It's turned into money. Okay? So when you look at that letter that comes in the mail, look how it comes to you. Read it. Is the first letter only capitalized, or are all of them? If all of them are, that is a commercial entity, and that is your capitalized name. The name they turned into money. Starting to get the picture? I hope so, because people really need to understand what's going on. The world is changing, and you've got to be there with it. You've got to change with it. Anyway, today's Thursday, March 15th, 2018. I'm Papa Bear, and that, my friends, is What's Out There.
To know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there?